Hello, Star Nation, and welcome to a special Saturday, April 2nd episode of 4-Star Sports Show, presented to you by BA Masks. For more, go to BAMask.com. Alan McFerrin and company do an incredible job with their face mask, all custom made, Brandon. And you know what, Brandon? Right now, you can go to go to Madden.com, not Madden.com. You can play on Madden right now and make a BA mask. So, Brandon Bumgarner, my co-host here today, you can make a Brandon Bumgarner and have a BA mask. How do you feel about that, Brandon?
That's actually really cool. I play a lot of Madden, so I should probably look into that and start editing and shouting out Alan on the online to be like, "Hey, you know how you can customize a mask? Well, the guy who owns the company who makes those uh, is a good friend of ours, friend of the
Yes,
show."
he is. Yes, he is. Yeah, Alan does a great job. And also, Brandon, if you were an D1, D2, or D3 athlete, you could also be a BA athlete. They're now in the NIL deal as well. Go and see them, BAMask.com. Also, follow them on all the social media sites at BA Mask. Brandon, this is going to be an exciting weekend for all sports fans. You've got the Final Four going on. You've got WrestleMania going on for the wrestling fans out there. And you've got the NBA is going on for right now, too. It's hot and heavy as well. We're going to talk about it all today, Brandon. What are you most excited about for this entire weekend, Brandon?
Well, for me, just because it's a tradition, it's watching WrestleMania. Um, and maybe that's just because I'm a weird, nerdy little boy. But and I have no interest in this year's Final Four whatsoever. I know there's a big storyline with Coach K playing his biggest rival, UNC tonight. But honestly, like I probably, if I watch it, I'll watch it on my phone because I'm going to be watching WrestleMania tonight. That's just something that I do regularly every single year. I really enjoy it. I love to um, just sit here around with my dad. We'll watch every wrestling pay-per-view that comes on when we have the chance, and this is one where we mark out time and do it ourselves.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, you got the Final Four going on, and like Brandon just said, you've got that matchup between North Carolina and Duke. I believe, if I'm correct, Brandon, this is the first time they've met ever in the NCAA, but it's the first time they've met since 1971 in the NIT tournament. So it's been over 50 years since these two teams have met postseason. So that's a big matchup tonight, and we'll get into that here shortly. But Brandon, you talked about it. It's WrestleMania weekend. The entire wrestling world is in and around Dallas right now. You had the Ring of Honor pay-per-view went on last night in Garland, Texas. There was some things went on last night there, Brandon. But let's talk a little bit about WrestleMania tonight. Of course, the kickoff show starts tonight at 6 on Peacock and on USA. And then the main card will start tonight at 7 p.m. on USA. Brandon, do you miss the old days? I say the old days of WrestleMania, where it was one night and it was 8 hours long, and you just settled in, and it was a day and night affair.
Um, no and yes. Just because those pay-per-views had that nostalgic feeling to them where they took forever. The build-up was there because you had to wait all week for that one day to see it. Now you kind of get more of a laxed approach with it. Uh, you have Saturday and Sunday, and then I mean even before that, we'll get into the Hall of Fame. They had the Hall of Fame last night, and you also had SmackDown last night before the Hall of Fame. So as far as a moneymaker, Vince McMahon is just smiling because this is just making way more money in his pockets. But no, I can't really say I completely miss it. I enjoy this a little bit more because it gives more leniency for people to do the things they want to do throughout the day and then enjoy it at night. And also, since it's now a premium live event, no longer have to I mean, if you want to, you can pay $80 to watch it on cable. I don't know why you would, because you get the exact same quality and everything on Peacock. But uh, yeah, like you have the luxury of being able to go out and like rewatch it if you want to right after it happens. So it's always a good thing.
Yeah, it is. It's always a good thing. And, one thing that, and I don't want to harp on this, but one thing that I miss about wrestling in general is with social media right now today, you dang near know everything before it's going to happen. You almost know the way the event's going to unfold before it ever starts. And one of those deals is a guy that has been in WWE before. His family is one of the most known wrestling names ever, and that's Cody Rhodes, formerly the what was his official title over there, Brandon? He was an EVP. Is that
He was
what
an
he was?
executive vice president of All Elite Wrestling.
So okay, so here's and you and I hadn't really talked about this on air. I think it's a work. That's just my opinion. Dave Meltzer and others who are much more qualified at that than I am necessarily have reported that Cody's there. Fans saw him, supposedly saw him at the Wrestlers Hotel. He had a hoodie on, and that big old gaudy tattoo stood out, so everybody knew it was him. But I think it's a work, and the reason I say that is because of the EVP. How do you go from an EVP of a company to no longer with that company, and you're at the competitor, and it's also the competitor that you have made numerous shots at while at AEW?
I feel like if it was a work, they would have already. He would have come out last night at the Ring of Honor pay per view. Um, because that is something that you would have completely seen in that storyline with AEW is him going to run Ring of Honor, him versus Tony. You know, in that whole aspect, build it up uh, kind of like Triple H did NXT. Speaking of NXT, their pay per view or excuse me, premium live event is right now on live on Peacock. Right now, it's the North American World Championship ladder match happening. But no, I don't think it's a work. I honestly think WWE would have shot down those rumors already if it wasn't a work. Also, who's to say that Cody? I mean, in all reality, and I'm going to tell you, at first I did say I thought it was a work myself. But after doing my own research and listening to Dave Meltzer and a bunch of other people around the country and around the world, quite honestly, I don't see it being a work. I think WWE would have already shot that down. Um, but also, WWE would have done a lot of things, and wrestling would be in a better place right now. Not saying it's not in a good place right now itself, but not everything is always set in stone with them.
Very true. Very true. And another thing that I do know about WWE is when it comes to their commentators, things that they say are very strategically placed. Pat McAfee's talked about this in a few podcasts that he's been on recently about how he's got a little bit of free reign when it comes to his commentary, but there is people in his ear with
Vince is
things.
in his ear.
Yes, exactly. That with things he needs to say, and he just he Pat said he gets a phrase in his ear, and he's got to figure out how to work it to his commentary, which I love. But they've made multiple things that are dashing. Brandon, they typically don't
Yeah,
make
they've
statements
hinted
like
at it.
that.
They've hinted at it the whole time. Uh, they said that uh, Seth Rollins' hopes and dreams were dashed from WrestleMania. This is his worst nightmare. Things like that. That's why I think at this point You can't go back from that. I think everything else, as far as the Shane McMahon news, hell, even as close as last night, people saying the Undertaker
Yeah,
is going to be his Seth Rollins' opponent,
he's done.
saying never say never. I don't think he's done. I think he's got one more match in him. I don't think it's tonight or tomorrow night, but I think it'll be at a Saudi Arabia event, probably like TLC or something next time they go over there because they're going to pay big money for him to come over there again. But yeah, I don't think WWE would have been like, hey, we're going to use all of these little hints and everything like that, and not say Cody Rhodes is coming back, because I honestly, Wes, I think they would have shot it down by now.
I agree. I mean, like I said, they're very strategic with how they put phrases into the commentaries and even into their
Yes.
promos, for that matter. And also, you got to watch because they're really good about little nuggets on graphics, things like that. You got to watch. But when it comes to Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, I think it would be a great match. WWE needs a solid babyface, like we've talked about off air, Brandon. And I think Cody could do that. But my concern with bringing Cody in is this: how long do he stay up top? How long before he comes to that mid carder that he's known to be? And I think personally, Cody's better than a mid carder.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think he's better than the mid Carter too, because I think it took him leaving WWE to figure that out. Uh, yeah, I don't know, man. It's at this point we're gonna find out tonight. We're here. You're a few short hours away from seeing what happens, and we're gonna go from there. And whatever happens, happens. And on Tuesday, we will all talk about it on the Falls Count Anywhere podcast.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great segue into my next plug-in for Falls Count Anywhere, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Razorback Zach, MC, and Brandon Bumgarner. Man, Brandon, that show's been a lot of fun so far since it's got started. This is what y'all's fourth show now.
Yeah, it'll be
man,
the fourth show. It'll be the fourth
that
show.
show's been a lot of fun.
And honestly,
Wes,
wrestling, watching sports is a hobby of mine, but wrestling is a hobby of mine in itself. Yeah. I make a way to watch wrestling throughout the week, and that's the segue that I've had between me and my dad. My stepdad has raised me my whole life. That is my dad to me. And our common ground was always professional wrestling. He was in love with it, watches everything he can, and it's just, it's kind of all in the family type deal where I love it, but yeah, man, being able to watch WrestleMania tonight, excuse me, and enjoy it is going to be very fun. But being able to talk about it just makes it even more fun for me. I invest a lot into it. And I know a lot of our listeners know I'm a massive Tigers and Grizzlies fan, which we're going to get into that segue too. We're going to talk about everything today, y'all. We're going to talk Final Four. We're going to talk transfer portal. We're going to talk Grizzlies. Right now, we're just talking WrestleMania because that's what's on the marquee for today. But being able to talk about it is a lot of fun. ZK, as he likes to call himself on Falls Count Anywhere, I guess he's got different names for himself on each podcast.
Hold on, what?
Yeah, last week he was Zach ZK Kerr.
Okay.
But you know what? I support it. If
hey,
he wants to do that,
I get it. Yeah.
We got a little bit of breaking NFL news. The Dolphins are trading wide receiver Devonta Parker to the Patriots. Miami is also receiving a 2023 third-round pick for a 2023 fifth-rounder, according to Ian Rappaport of Rap Sheet and Friends. So, I mean, that's not bad for the Patriots. I mean, Mac Jones really needs a number one receiver over there. Devonta Parker can be, I don't know if he's a true number one, but I think he can be a pretty good receiver for Mac. And it also I mean, look at all the moves the Dolphins have made this offseason, too. And
This
I don't want to keep
offseason's
going
been
into
wild.
that. We can talk
It's
about that,
been
too.
wild.
It's craziest offseason in NFL history.
No doubt, no doubt. Brandon, when we talk about WrestleMania tonight, of course, night one, the big story is Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kevin Owens, and we're going to
What?
get to that, don't worry. What?
What?
But,
What?
by the way, speaking of Pat
What?
McAfee does a incredible Stone Cold Steve Austin
What?
on commentary.
One beer? 2 beers?
Yeah,
3 beers?
yes, awesome.
4
Yes, it's
beers?
awesome.
5
What?
beers?
It's
6
awesome.
beers? 7 beers? 8 beers? 9 beers? And a Bloody Mary.
All right, man. So this is my first question for WrestleMania Night One, Brandon. And in my opinion, it's one of the better storylines WWE has going on SmackDown right now. But because of Stone Cold coming in, this storyline took a little bit of a kind of a left turn, I think. I'm talking about Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. If you look at their promos that they cut back and forth on each other during this little run, they've been beautiful. They've been very personal. They've really kind of dug in and kind of pulled the curtain back a little bit as well. Ronda Rousey's pissed off because she was under the impression she was going to be main event of night one. I would assume what they do Ronda and Charlotte and then Stone Cold KO, or I mean,
That's
who
probably.
knows?
I think that's what I saw. But with Vince McMahon, anything can change. All we know that's set in stone is KO show with Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be the last thing tonight.
Yeah, when you look at Ronda Rousey, we talked about this off air. I think she needs a mouthpiece, and I think that mouthpiece needs to be Paul Heyman.
I think it needs to be somebody like Paul Heyman. It doesn't have to be Paul Heyman himself.
He would be
Hell,
incredible with her.
I agree. So fun story. I got to meet Ronda Rousey and Paul Heyman one time. Really cool. I got pictures of both of them. But when they pulled up to the hotel, Ronda was riding with Paul Heyman in the car. So, and she's always said, I mean, even at WrestleManias and stuff, she's always said, I'm a Paul Heyman girl. Things like that. I think he's very instrumental in the instrumental, not instrumental. In what goes on with her career. I also think that he just gives a great value to any wrestler I mean, everything he touches turns to gold. Mm-hmm. All the way from ECW to when he was running SmackDown recently to his career with Brock Lesnar to being with Roman Reigns now, everything like that. Paul Heyman he's one of those minds, and we talked about it this past Tuesday. He's one of those minds that just, when he's gone, the business is going to absolutely miss him. And hopefully that's a long, long time from now. But I really think Paul Heyman has been very instrumental in everything that goes on. And very happy with what's going on in his career. But yes, Ronda herself needs a mouthpiece. She's not incredible on the mic. She's not bad, but she's not incredible.
She's not.
She will get better. I do think they should have given her a little more ring opportunities since the Royal Rumble. I think she's still got some ring rust there. Luckily, she's going in with a phenomenal wrestler of her own right, Charlotte Flair, tonight.
Best in the business.
Who, I don't agree with that, but one of the best in the business. We can argue all day long. I think Becky Lynch is the best all-around mic, mouthpiece, and wrestler in the entire WWE right now.
Charlotte Flair. Let me just throw this caveat in there real quick, and this has not been discussed. Listen to Dave LaGreca, Bully Ray, and all the guys over on Busted Open XM recently. Bully Ray brought this up, and I think it's a great idea. What is the difference in Charlotte and Chyna? Chyna wrestled men. Why can't Charlotte step in the ring with men? She's just as capable as Chyna. I understand Chyna was an attraction. I get that. Ninth wonder of the world. God rest her soul. Incredible talent. Well deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. What's the difference in her and Charlotte? Why can't Charlotte wrestle men? Yeah, I mean,
Because in this day and age, it is not appropriate to have men attacking women on live TV.
it's happening in other wrestling promotions.
Yes, but also you got to think the WWE is a PG product that is on public television on Friday nights. Um,
This is
and
true.
do they
This is
are they
true.
really wanting to set that example to the world? I don't think that's what they're going to want to do. By the way, this ladder match that's going on at NXT right now is
Incredible.
awesome. It's the best thing NXT 2.0 has done so far because everything that they've done hasn't been very good other than Braun Breaker. Um,
Oh man, we'll get into him here in just a minute.
yeah.
Brennan, to the Charlotte, to the Charlotte.
Oh my goodness!
The Charlotte Ronda storyline. Let me ask you this. I think originally the plan was to have Charlotte to have Ronda go over and be the new champion. Go over is a wrestling term for win, by the way. But let me ask you this, man. I think Ronda's lost a little bit of her edge, and I don't think it's her fault because I think now that she's a mother, I think she's naturally lost a little bit of that edge. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yes, but also she's still any half the men and any woman in that locker room. If they wanted to go toe to toe with her, like by themselves, Ronda Rousey would end them.
Oh
That's how
yes,
bad
yes,
of a person
yes.
she is. So,
Oh yes.
I
I
mean,
mean, like as far as her mic skills since she's come back, she's lost that edge on the mic to me a little bit.
yes, and that's why she needs that mouthpiece like a Paul Heyman. And it
Yeah.
honestly, like I said, it doesn't have to be Paul Heyman himself. It can be somebody that you bring up through the NXT ranks or somebody. Hell, Corey Graves. I think Corey Graves would be a perfect person to put behind her, even though she is on
What about
SmackDown and
a
he is on Raw and he's a commentator. Um, I think
what about
that'd
a
be
guy like
perfect.
Ellering?
Who?
Used to be with Paul Ellering. Used to be with AOP.
Yes,
Also was with the
yes,
Legion of Doom back in the day.
yes,
A
yes.
guy like him would be good. He's got that evil voice.
Somebody who understands the business. And don't get me wrong, Rhonda's been there long enough to understand the business, but she doesn't understand it, if you know what I mean.
Right.
This is her. I don't know. Uh, this is kind of her becoming a veteran stage.
Yeah,
And also, like, I
I
mean,
agree.
Wes, let's be real. Like, she was pregnant less than 4 months ago and just had a baby. Um,
Yeah,
and I mean, like you just said, it's just tough to keep that motor going as you're
yeah,
becoming a mother and as you're changing as a person individually outside of the whole wrestling um, just world. But
but I mean, you go have a baby to turning around and immediately getting in incredible shape, getting your body back, getting your feet back under you, but then you've got to get ready to go wrestle. So then you've got to get in the ring, get bumps, hit the ropes, all that, which is, as we know, Brandon, it's not easy. I've never done it personally, but it's not easy to do. And then you've got to get back into, okay, I've got to get in storyline mode, I've got to get in, heel mode, face mode, whatever it may be. But then also you've got a brand new daughter at home. That's why I say I think she's lost a little bit of her edge, and it's nothing, like I said, of her own fault. She's a mother. She had a child. I mean,
yeah,
that's why she
that's why
leave
they
with.
need to lock her and Becky Lynch both into a room and have Becky Lynch explain to her, this is what I'm doing as a mother. I mean, they're both mothers around the exact same time. This is what
Yes,
I'm doing as a mother. This is what I'm doing to help my career. Becky brings her child everywhere. The
that's I
child
was
that
just getting
Becky
ready to
Lynch
say.
had
Yeah,
with Seth Rollins, that they travel everywhere. They take a bus everywhere. They don't fly. They have their own personal stuff. They're able to enjoy their family time and everything like that. I think Rhonda, of course, she's got more than one child, so
yeah,
not of her own, but stepchildren that Travis Brown has, her husband, former UFC fighter. Um,
Beast.
but not really. He was terrible.
I'm,
But
I'm
that's
saying
a
he's
different.
huge.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big guy. He'd be perfect for WWE. Not a good
He
not a
would.
good MMA wrestler. He'd still whoop my ass though. So, uh, but no. Ronda needs to be connected with the WWE locker room, and I think that's kind of where that space is right there. I really think that she needs somebody to not hold her hand, but guide her through the highs and the lows. And you know what? If Roddy Piper was around, that would be the person that would be able to help her. Unfortunately, he's not around because he sadly passed away a few years back. And I mean, they were close. I mean, hell, she wears his jacket, so or parts of his jacket that she made for herself. It's kind of like Rick with his robes in Charlotte. But yeah, that would have been nice. And I think there's really needs to be somebody in that locker room that steps up and is like, hey, I see what we have in Ronda Rousey. Look at what you have in Brock Lesnar. You have an absolute mega star. I mean, we think the Undertaker's Hall of Fame ceremony last night was awesome. Wait until Brock Lesnar gets inducted into the Hall of Fame as well. There's going to be stories behind that. Um, you're going to be able to see him be himself, and that's what you're seeing right now in his character as well. But yeah, I don't want to keep harping on Ronda. I do think she just needs that veteran presence around her that's going to help her become a better superstar. And I think that's part of the reason why WWE has basically changed their whole shtick of making her main event with Charlotte. And I'm sure Charlotte's offended by it too, but also Charlotte isn't. It's not like she's like very well liked in the locker room herself. Um,
I'm sure one of them are really truly liked because I mean Ronda comes back and I understand it's Ronda Rousey. I understand all that, but you've got superstars in that locker room. Sorry, performers in that locker room that never left.
no, they're all WWE superstars.
Well, oh yeah, I mean they never left. Ronda leaves to go have a baby and she comes right back and bam, she's right back in a match with Charlotte at Mania. I mean, I can understand how there could be some quote unquote heat on both of them in the locker room. I mean, it makes sense.
It does make sense. And I don't want to keep harping on this. I know people that are listening are going to want to
Yeah, move
listen to
on.
us say
Yeah,
other things.
yeah.
So let's move on. We'll readdress this at some other date, I'm sure. And
Oh, I mean,
listen
y'all
to Falls Count
are
Anywhere
all
on
into it.
Tuesday.
Yeah. I was gonna say this is really just kind of a plug for Tuesday night, really. Of course, we talked a little bit about Cody Rhodes. Seth Rollins has got a mystery opponent tonight. We don't know who it is, supposedly. Let me ask you this, Brandon, real quick on this Seth Rollins Cody Rhodes match. Do you think it'll start the show? And there's a two-part question. Number one, do you think it'll start the show? And number two, how do you think it's going to unfold?
I do not think it starts the show. Uh, I think you're going to see Becky and Bianca start the show tonight. Then you're going to go Miz, Logan Paul, Mysterio's, then Seth Rollins. I think he'll be third. They kind of throw that in the middle, I think. I also think that whoever you bring out, unless it's like Shane McMahon, which, God, I hope it's not. You know how many people are going to get out of their seats and leave if it's Shane McMahon? No offense to Shane. He's a phenomenal wrestler himself, but nobody wants to see Shane McMahon wrestle Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
No.
Uh, I'd love to see him against somebody else, maybe, but just not Seth Rollins. It has to be Cody Rhodes. And if it's not Cody Rhodes, then it's got to be The Undertaker for it to even be a pop. So I think whoever wrestles Seth goes over. Seth is still Seth freaking Rollins. Don't get it twisted. So it's not really going to hurt you too bad
I
if
mean,
Seth is.
that just furthers this Seth Rollins chase storyline that he's got going. And by the way, this is the best Seth Rollins I've ever seen, period.
I don't know if it's the best I've ever seen, but it's definitely up there. I really enjoy
So
this dude.
great at this character. He's awesome
I
at it.
really enjoy this character, and I kind of compared it on Tuesday to the whole Joker persona of DC Comics, like Batman Joker. Uh, he's kind of a psycho, so you never know what you're going to get out of him. Especially, and I kind of sensed it when he had his match against Roman, and he came out to the Shield music, wore like to get into Roman's head, and then Roman just beat the absolute crap out of him, and he was laughing the whole time. That's kind of when that Seth Rollins that whole moniker changed
It's like he
for him.
snapped mentally.
Yes, but yeah, man, I'm really excited about that tonight. I think if it's Cody Rhodes, you absolutely have to put him over. We've talked about it, like you said off air. 110% have to have a big time baby face in this company. John
Yep.
Cena's not walking through that door.
No.
The Rock isn't walking through that door. So we think. Put a pause on that one. So we
Yeah.
think The Rock isn't walking through that door. Uh, Undertaker's retired. Triple H is done.
Yeah.
You don't have a top baby face in the company anymore, other than Brock Lesnar.
No.
Now I will say, I do appreciate what they're trying to do with Bobby Lashley, turning him from heel back to face.
Yeah.
I think he was a great heel, but I also think that he's more likable as a babyface. So that could be. I honestly thought for a little while, I thought he was going to be Seth Rollins' mystery opponent until they started this whole Omos thing with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, you got to put whoever it is. If as long as it's Cody Rhodes, you have to put Cody Rhodes over because you want the fans to get behind him.
Speaking of almost, did you see him wrestle rapping recently?
Who?
Almost. I mean, almost. I call him almost.
Almost.
Yeah, that's what I call him.
No, almost. I did not see him rapping.
Yeah, evidently, like during one of the WrestleMania parties, he got on stage and rapped like full Jay Z song. Full Jay Z song. Yeah, I actually posted it somewhere.
Good for him.
Yeah, but
I do know he is a former college basketball player at the University of South Florida and was absolute garbage. So
what is his actual name?
no clue. Don't care either because he's not good.
I was thinking for some reason I was thinking he was the taco guy, but that's not
He's
him.
going to be around about as long as Brodus Clay was.
Well, he's on Fox News now, ain't he?
Brodus Clay?
Yeah, is he on Fox News? Oh no, that's Titus, not the black guy. What's his name? Yeah, he's on that. He's on
Brodus
that.
Clay was the Funkadactyl's big dude.
Okay,
Somebody
who was the
call
other
my
guy with him?
mama. Somebody
Right.
call
Okay.
my mom. That guy.
Who was the guy with him?
I don't remember. I just remember
Well,
Cameron and Naomi and
whoever.
his little
Right.
bodies danced around with them.
These are called Funkadactyls.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Funkadactyl. Best thing Brodus Clay ever did with his career was WrestleMania when they came out and he goes, "Mama?" on his phone. He gets a fake phone call from his mama, and his mama brings out the knitting crew to dance with him, and they all stupid. I mean, listen, WWE just does some of the just most
Stupid
random,
stuff.
stupid stuff, but they get away with it. And you know what? More
It's
power to them because
gonna happen sometime
it's
this
gonna
weekend at
happen.
WrestleMania. Yeah.
Listen, if you have a wrestling company that has lasted damn near 50 years, you're gonna run out of ideas at some point.
Oh yeah. I fully expect the gobbledygook to come back at some time.
Hell, Pete Rose might even come back
And
and
get him stunned again. That would
do
be
it.
great. But yeah, man, WrestleMania weekend, it's here. WrestleMania night 1 is tonight. Night 2 is tomorrow night, obviously. The big deal with night 1 is Stone Cold Steve Austin making his return to Texas.
What?
Anybody that's been watching wrestling over the last couple months, Kevin Owens has been just tearing down the state of Texas, tearing down the state of Texas, tearing down the state
What?
of Texas.
What?
Some people originally thought it might be The Undertaker. It wasn't. It was
What?
Stone Cold Steve Austin. But a couple
What?
weeks back, a couple weeks back, KO came out dressed as Stone Cold Steve Austin. That is the greatest things I've seen Kevin Owens
The
do in his
the
entire career.
best,
Beautiful.
probably the best thing he's done in a very, very, very long time. Besides his whole feud with Jericho.
That was so great.
Um, oh my gosh, the whole Jericho feud was awesome. But yeah, man, I'm just kind of I'm really excited for this. You know, it's going to be more than just the KO show. It's going to be a match. Uh, we don't know what type of match. We don't know. Maybe he just comes out and stuns him, but who knows? I kind of knew this was going to be a thing as soon as KO started using the stunner. Um, you could just see it coming. And Stone Cold being the biggest superstar in WWE history, it's not even an argument. Um, everybody on this earth knows who Stone Cold Steve Austin is. I don't care
Oh
if you've
yeah.
ever watched wrestling or not in your life, you know who he is. But uh, in his home state, it's just going to be huge. I mean, last time they were in Dallas, you had Stone Cold, Mick Foley, and Shawn Michaels all come out and just whoop up on a group of dudes. Not the Nation of Domination, the League of Nations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you had them whoop up on those guys. The pop that Stone Cold got in that arena, 5 years ago, was
Oh,
absurd.
the roof's gonna come off tonight.
It's going to happen again tonight, especially when I'm reading things saying Stone Cold might be here for more than just WrestleMania. He might be here for one last
Oh.
WWE run,
Oh.
which would be awesome.
Yeah.
It's We were talking about that top babyface. Hell, Stone Cold can get you over for a couple months, at
With
least
ease.
until SummerSlam. No, he'd get over for the rest of his career.
No,
But
I'm saying with ease. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. But
you just put his name on marquee and folks are going, and there's asses and seats
you're
immediately.
sold out of tickets.
Yeah.
You come to Memphis, Tennessee, or you go to Little Rock, Arkansas, or anywhere like that, and you're doing
Sold
a
out.
small house show. You put Stone Cold Steve Austin's name on there, you're going to sell the majority of the tickets that you have out.
Immediately. So I agree with you. I think that there's going to be some type of, I don't know if it'll be a match, but it'll be definitely a physical altercation. I mean, if there's not, then why set it up like this? But
Make it a street fight. I'd love to see a Stone Cold street fight in AT&T Stadium.
I mean, obviously, I think Stone Cold's going to whip up on him. Let me ask you this, and I'm sure DraftKings is going to have a free thing going tonight. They always do when it comes to this question may pop up on there. Do you think Steve Austin takes a stunner from KO?
No. I think
I don't
it's
either.
attempted.
I don't either.
I think it's attempted. Listen, they're never going to.
No.
I mean, Vince is never going to let that happen to the biggest name in the history of the company.
I agree.
Ever. It'd be like The Rock coming back.
And taking a rock bottom from Roman Reigns.
Yes. Because he's getting up there, man. They're all getting up there in age. Like, that's also, when I think about that, it's kind of sad to me because that's my childhood. I grew up watching these guys.
Yeah.
I've been alive for The Rock's entire acting career. I remember The Scorpion King. I remember all of these movies that he's made. But most importantly, I remember his first huge WWE run. I mean, those two guys were just. I mean, they changed the course of wrestling forever. But
Yes, they did.
Stone Cold, he doesn't need a stunner. I think he comes out, beats the crap out of Owens. Then he shows up at Raw or something. Then they might let Owens get over on him for a minute or something. And then, I don't know. I just want to see old Stone Cold. I mean, he kind of talked about it in that little promo video. You awoken something in me that I hadn't felt in 19 years.
Yeah, he did.
So I just feel like there's going to be some sort of final run for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I agree completely. Brandon, speaking of WWE, there was an event last night. It's one of my favorite events. Evidently, it is Vince McMahon's favorite event of the year, which that really surprised me last night when he said that. But it was the WWE Hall of Fame induction of 2022. We had Big Bad Vader go in last
What?
night. We had Chad. What is his last?
Gaspar.
Thank you. Gaspard go in last night. We had the Steiner brothers go in last night,
What?
and then you had the Undertaker, of course,
What?
go in as well. Let me ask you this, Brandon. I thought you were going to say what again? I thought all the speeches were great. I did tear up a
Okay.
few times last night. I thought all the speeches were beautiful.
You want to hear somebody that surprised me and I
Who's
didn't
that?
think deserved to be in the Hall of Fame?
Who?
Charmel.
Oh, dude,
She
that
she
was
doesn't
beautiful last night.
her speech you could tell came straight from her heart, but
Perfectly articulated, by the way.
absolutely. The only thing that pissed me off is Booker screaming "All hail Queen Charmel" 27 times. I counted it. It was.
Did
I
you
mean,
really?
I did. I couldn't get him saying it out of my
Out of your
head
head. Yes, yes,
during
yes.
her speech, and it was pissing me off because I was like, dude, your wife. Don't get me wrong, great lady, Nitro girl. I guess she's some sort of. I mean, she wasn't around that long. She was only around when Booker won King of the Ring, so
Yeah.
it's not like she's this world beating
Yeah,
women's
she wasn't around for
champion.
20 years. No, yeah, she wasn't around 20 years. No, she was
No,
around
she
two.
was around for 1 year.
One, yeah, one, yeah.
Maybe, but yeah, it's just. But I do think inducting her was big, and also I do have to take into account their wrestling school. It's not just Booker T's wrestling school; it's his, and Charmel's.
Yes.
They've produced a lot of people out of their school that have been in the WWE. So
Yes, they have.
I will have to say, like, and she even alluded to it last night that, um, that's they built that school to be a feeder for the WWE.
Mhm.
So they've been successful in that. I do think that needs to be taken into account with her whole success as far as WWE. Um, but yeah, I appreciated. I really appreciated her speech last night. But when we're talking about everything, like you said, tearing up, I always tear up for the Warrior Award because it's always somebody who is just the epitome of a warrior.
Yeah.
No, not trying to be funny about that. But WWE says the same thing. Uh,
I'm not a big Dana Warrior fan, but go ahead.
I'm not because she seems kind of fake and phony.
She
But
seems a lot of things, but go ahead.
but yeah, Shad Gaspard absolutely deserved that. You want to talk about just a hero, and they mentioned it several times last night.
Yeah.
He
Her
deserved that. His family
her
deserved
speech
that.
was
Her speech was
incredible.
great. Her speech was great, and also the fact that she talked to her son, who
Yes.
Shad saved his life, and sacrificed himself.
She checked
And
on him
no,
that entire promo. Was, I'm sorry, speech. It was beautiful.
yes, not only that, but she spoke directly to her son, saying, "Hey, your dad is a hero." And for those of you not familiar with what we're talking about, Shad Gaspard, who's former part of Shad and JTG,
Mm-hmm.
Crime Time, former tag team in WWE. Shad Gaspard tragically lost his life in 2020, saving his son from a riptide, saving his son from drowning in a riptide. Shad got washed off after he saved his son. Uh, really, really, just it was a sad thing,
Tragic. Yeah.
just absolutely tragic. But he deserved that honor last night. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Seeing JTG there last night though, with Shad's son and everything, doing their
That was cool.
handshake and all that meant a lot to me. And Shad deserved every single bit of that. So that's what I'm leaving on that. The Vader induction was really cool. I wish he was still around to be able to be around for that.
Well, Nikki
Uh,
Bella thinks he is, but go ahead.
yeah. Um, but it was just that was really sad. I think he passed away in like 2018. Um,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that was fun to see. Then you got the Steiner brothers, who Rick Steiner's son is just setting the world on fire in NXT right now. Braun Breaker, for those of you that don't know, former NXT champion, actually about to wrestle here in probably the next few minutes to hour or so for NXT Stand and Deliver. Will be really good.
I thought their
And
speech was
then
incredible as well.
it was awesome. But the marquee standalone person last night was Mark Calloway, the Undertaker himself.
Yes.
Anybody who's listening to this podcast has heard of the Undertaker. Anybody who has heard about WWE knows who the Undertaker is. That man has meant so much to the business compared to so many others. It is unbelievable. Started his career actually in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yep.
Started wrestling out of Memphis with Dutch Mantel helping push him. Got to meet Vince McMahon. Turned his life into just something that unimaginable. And he talked about it last night. And you know what? Even if you're not a WWE fan, but you have a subscription to Peacock, I advise you, if you don't want to watch the whole ceremony, you don't have to. Just skip to
Taker took about an hour.
skip to Undertaker's speech. He talked as himself, Mark Calloway, talked about what he dealt with in his life, his trials and tribulations, his stories, everything like that. And honestly, to any just random person, that speech last night, it wasn't just an Hall of Fame induction speech. It was a life speech
It was a
telling people how they
seminar.
should live their lives. Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was watching a TED Talk.
So here's the thing. First off, I love that they put the microphone on Undertaker. It made it more personable. Or, I'm sorry, on Mark Calloway. It made it more personable. But I also love the fact that we got to hear him when he hugged Vince McMahon and say, "I love you."
Yeah,
Like that made that moment so personal. But the over what it was right at 10 minute. The right at 10 minute standing ovation for him was awesome to watch, but it was more cool to see him fight back tears. And then with that headpiece on, you could hear him having to try to collect himself. But once he got going, Brandon,
he got
he
going,
was
brother.
he was in last night. Like that speech last night was so much fun to watch. Marcus Carlton, MC, as we know him on brand, said Undertaker has a career as a motivational speaker if he wants. If he wants it, his speech was amazing. I completely agree. Taker did an incredible job last night with that speech. Last night was a fitting send off for his career that he's had, not only in the WWE, but like you said, Brandon, he wrestled in Memphis, wrestled in Texas as well when he got his start. Moved over to WCW, wrestled with Paul Heyman in WCW as well, and then got that phone call from Vince McMahon. We've heard the story numerous times. Vince McMahon calls him and says, "Is this the Undertaker?" And Mark Calloway pulled the phone away and was like, "Holy shit! Yeah, this is the Undertaker." He was like, "All right, come and see me," and that's how it got started. But and Brandon, now you and I have talked about this numerous times. The Undertaker is my favorite wrestler of all time, and the reason being is I use the term morphed. He morphed his character in ways before it got stale to keep up with the times.
Yeah,
He did it. Jericho's done it as well, but the way Taker did it, it was just quick little nuances that he would change. When he first came in, he was very slow, which I loved when he first came in. Very slow, very deliberate with his punches. Then he sped up a little bit. But that Lord of Darkness character, when he had the ministry, was my favorite.
I guess because I grew up in the American Badass era, that's my favorite.
Have you gone back and watched
Yes,
how he
I've seen
like
how he articulated it and everything like that, and it was really
like
cool.
how he created the entire mystery and everything? It was beautiful.
Yeah. And I mean, you won't see that in professional wrestling ever again.
No,
Also, by the way, Tommaso Ciampa just lost. I guess Is he going to the main roster?
Yeah, he
Okay.
announced on NXT last week this was his last event.
With NXT
Yeah,
or just wrestling in general?
no, with NXT. That would be his
Okay.
final show.
Okay. Well, he just lost, and as he's walking out, Triple H's music just hit, and the crowd went absolutely berserk.
Oh wow,
And they just had a nice embrace on the stage. And Tommaso Ciampa's going back to the back with the send off, thanking the fans, everything like that. Really
very
cool to see
cool,
that.
very cool, very cool.
Um, but no, yeah, Undertaker is just one of those guys that you will never ever see again in the history of wrestling. I don't care
No,
how hard you try to push somebody to be that type of wrestler, it'll never happen again. And the guy not only um, not like you didn't get to see him as a person until last night, his whole
yeah.
career, which was really really cool to see.
What I like is once he's stepped away from wrestling, you've seen him on more podcasts. Joe Rogan, he was on Stone Cold's podcast as
He
well,
has
which is
not
on
been on Joe
Peacock.
Rogan. He has been on Stone Cold.
He
He's
was
been
on
on
Joe
Joe
Rogan,
Rogan.
was he not?
He has not been on Joe Rogan, and I am
I
waiting for
was
that to happen.
I was thinking he was on Rogan.
I really want it to
But
happen.
but when you look at Taker, he's opened or he's pulled the curtain back on who he is as a man. I mean, now
Thank you, Taker.
we get to see more
Thank
of
you,
Michelle.
Taker.
Michelle Cool obviously
Thank
is
you,
his wife.
Taker.
You get to see more of his kids, which is something like that documentary that they did on him, The Last Ride. That was an
I
incredible
didn't realize he had a
documentary.
20. He has a son older than me.
Yeah,
He has
yeah,
a
he's got a
29
son.
year old son.
Yeah, that was with he had her with or him with Sarah, I believe, which is who the neck tattoo was for years.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, man, Mark Calloway. When you look at him, I mean, mean Mark came into Memphis. He had just got out of prison in Georgia. I think Jerry Lawler is the one that actually gave him his backstory. He had just got out of prison in Georgia. Or, no, I'm sorry, Dutch Mantel was the one that gave him his backstory. Had just got out of jail in Georgia, and he was here to whip folks' ass, and that's what he did.
That's what he did, man.
But yeah, when you look at him, I mean, he said it, and I completely agree. The greatest story in wrestling ever told was Undertaker and Kane. I think that is 100% correct. But Brandon, let's now transition over to a different type of sport that is going on this weekend,
There's
and
another
that
sport
is
happening this weekend, Wes.
there's been a tournament going on recently that is known as the NCAA tournament, and we are down to the final four. Today we've got Kansas taking on Villanova, and then you've got a cap tonight between Duke and North Carolina. It's it's been a really interesting tournament. We've had some very interesting storylines in this tournament, and now we're down to the final four. Brandon, you've got Villanova and Kansas today. I think that's at 4 p.m.
I
This
believe
is
it's
going to
at
be a battle.
5:09.
Oh, is it five? Okay. Kansas is the only number one seed left around at the final four. Do you find that as a surprise?
No, because I think every number one seed in this tournament was kind of weak to begin with. I think Kansas got put in a region where there were upsets, and they kind of not got lucky to be here, but just kind of
They had
got
the
put
easiest path.
got put in the easiest direction to be able to get here. And it's nothing that they did to make it that way. They beat whoever they had to play. Um, Miami was a tough out for them last
Yeah.
weekend. Miami played a really, really tough game. Kansas just got it together late and lasted longer. And that's just how it happens sometimes. But yeah, I think this is a fun game because you have Bill Self, who is a national champion himself. I hate saying that. Um, and then you have Jay Wright, who's one of the best coaches in America at Villanova,
Yeah.
who is also a national champion himself. Uh, and Villanova just somehow makes these runs every year. And yes, they're a two seed, so there's no like major surprise them being there either. But yeah, this should be an interesting game. My prediction is I think Villanova gets it. I think Jay Wright outcoaches Bill Self. Um, I really just I think Kansas's magic has lasted long enough up to this point. Uh, don't get me wrong, they're a damn good team. I don't think they're good enough to win the NCAA tournament this year. Now, that being said, they have made it to the Final Four. So, got to give them credit where credit's due. I think that happens, and I just got Villanova in this one tonight. Luckily, I'm not a betting man, so I don't think I'm going to put any money on that.
Yeah, when it comes to this game, I agree. I mean, when you look at Villanova, they're shooting lights out at the tournament. They're one of the best shooting teams in the tournament coming in, and they're still here for a reason. What they do it really well. Jay Wright is an incredible basketball coach. I agree with you. I think that Kansas has had a little bit more of an easier run coming to the tournament, and I think that Villanova gets it done tonight or today, this afternoon, this evening against Kansas. Then you got the nightcap, Brandon. North Carolina and Duke take on each other for the first time ever in the NCAA tournament. North Carolina just on a big win over a St. Peter's team that nobody saw coming, and Duke got a win over the Arkansas Razorbacks in a pretty good game as well. But Brandon, when you look at Duke, North Carolina, of course you got Hubert Davis. I think is a great basketball coach, done a great job at North Carolina. And this is a hot take. I think North Carolina gets the win tonight. I think they close out Coach K's career tonight and get the win and
Well,
move on to the national championship.
you know how I feel about Coach K.
Yes, we do.
Um, not a huge fan, and I'm going to leave it at that. I've had a couple people tell me last time I said something about the man that they were very disappointed in the way that I said those things. So I'm going to leave it at that.
All right. So you're going for North Carolina. I got you. I got you. Brandon, it's been a fun tournament. The Final Four is upon us. Tonight is the two games in the Final Four. Monday night
Oh, crap.
will be the national championship game. When you look, I mean, around college sports, man, this tournament's been a lot of fun. This tournament's been exciting to say the least. Let me get Brandon back in here.
Speaking of people that don't like what I have to say about Coach K, that was one of them calling me right there. I do apologize to our listeners who were getting ready to hear me say that I am picking the North Carolina Tar Heels to get the win tonight. I think they send Coach K out just like they did at Cameron Indoor Stadium with the
I
loss.
agree. I bet they shake hands this time, though.
Also, do what?
I bet they shake hands this time.
I do too. I bet they shake hands. Uh, Hubert Davis, you want to talk about just a motivator, and
Yes.
also look if you look at the way, and not every coach reacts this way, but if you look at the way that he reacted after his team clinched a berth in the Final Four last week, and you could see how proud he was of his guys and all he's been through. Because he got thrown into that job. Nobody expected Roy Williams just to retire out of nowhere like he did. Hubert
No.
Davis got thrown into that job. Nope. I mean, yes, he was kind of prepped for the job, but he wasn't prepped, so to speak. He
He
didn't
had
know he was
never
going to be there.
he had never been a head coach before.
Never been a head coach before, only been an assistant. And you know what? I think he's making Roy Williams proud himself. I
Oh
think
yeah.
he's made his team proud. Um, and one player that is just the matchup I'm excited to see, and it's not K versus Davis. It's Paulo Branchero versus Baycott or
Yes.
Acott.
B-
Um,
Baycott. Yes, I can't wait for that. That's to be an incredible matchup. And there's
it's
been
going to
some
be so
trash
much
talk.
fun to watch that.
There's been some major trash talk back and forth between them too.
Oh, absolutely! You saw it in the games that they've already played this season.
Yeah.
And this is the matchup everybody wanted in the ACC tournament, but you're getting it in the Final Four now. So it's nice to see these blue bloods duke it out. No pun intended. Uh, Actually, pun completely intended. They're going to duke it out and come out there and hopefully put on a good show for the fans that are there. Whoever wins this game tonight, regardless, is going to be the national champion, in my opinion. Uh, I think I think that North Carolina just has old Mo on their side, and
Yep.
Mo is my best friend, as
Always.
you know. Duke has Mo on their side as well, but UNC, they got a little more juice right now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Duke, don't get me wrong. I know they're going out there to play for their coach. And Coach K will tell you, I don't want you to play for me. I want you to play for yourselves and your teammates. North Carolina's going out there to put this dude out of his career.
No
There's no doubt about it.
doubt.
And North
No
Carolina
doubt
is the
about it.
quote heel in
Scenario,
this
no doubt.
storyline right now. And you're damn Skippy. I'm cheering for the heel tonight.
Oh, most
Tar.
definitely.
I'm cheering for the Tar heel.
Oh, most definitely.
Another pun that's completely intended.
I think that Hubert Davis has done an incredible job, and I think not the way, like you talked about, his emotion after that win in the Elite Eight to get here to the Final Four, to know it's a chance to beat Duke is huge. And I mean, I think that his team gets the win tonight for sure. Brandon, a little bit more of college basketball news while we're on the topic of college basketball. The University of Memphis had a couple of guys do some
More than a couple.
much more than a couple. But had a few guys on the move. But two most recently, Landers Nolly entered the transfer portal today, and Lester Quinones announced he's going to the NBA. Penny has had a mass exodus since the ruling came out from the notice of allegations came out from the NCAA. Do you see this continuing?
I think there's going to be a few more guys that end up leaving. I don't think this is all of them. Now, not to correct you, but Landers Nolly, he's entered the portal, but Lester Quinones, he entered his
Right.
name into the draft. He can always pull his name back out and play college basketball. He's maintaining his college eligibility. So is Joshua Minot.
Okay. Okay.
So the only two guys that are truly gone from the university, well, three, are John Camden, Sam Anu, and Landers Nolly. Those are the
Okay.
only three guys who are truly gone right now.
So
I
it's not a
don't.
complete mass exodus.
It's not. I don't expect Josh Minot to be a just shoe-in draft pick this year. And if he's not, I do expect him to transfer ultimately and go to a different school. I do expect him to enter the transfer portal if he doesn't get drafted, or if he doesn't hear what he wants to hear from the NBA draft
Right.
experts. But I fully expect Lester Quinones to come back and be a Memphis Tiger for his senior season uh, he doesn't get if he doesn't get an opportunity that he's looking at in the NBA. That being said, I think there are guys who haven't hit the transfer portal yet from other schools that Penny Hardaway will go after. And this is speaking out of what I know, not just speaking out of what I think. Uh, I do know that there's guys that are going to ultimately hit the portal sooner rather than later. And they will get Memphis offers. I don't know if they're going to be coming to Memphis, but I know they will be getting Memphis offers. And also, if this season proves anything to you, Penny Hardaway can rebuild a team and keep a couple pieces and make a run. But it Wes, if Memphis had the chemistry they had at the end of the year throughout this season, they might still be playing basketball right now. And I'm
I
not
agree.
just saying that.
I
Uh,
agree.
I think those chemistry issues that they had at the beginning of the year between the upperclassmen and the freshmen really hurt. Um,
Oh, it did.
and I
It
think
did.
I think Penny's going to learn from that. I think Penny has learned from that.
He did.
And it took It doesn't take one worker; it takes a whole village to get this thing done. But right now, all of Tiger Nation, me included, we're all sitting on pins and needles to see what the NCAA is going to come back with, what they're going to tell the university, what they're going to tell our basketball program. Now, I don't know if you saw my write-up on Twitter. I did a little write-up on Twitter, a little research the other day. And I'm going to go through the rabbit hole real quick. And I know we've been on for an hour and 5 minutes. I don't know how long you want to keep going. I'm not going to harp on it too much.
And then the Grizzlies, and we're good.
Yeah, I'm not going to harp on it too much. But so the IARP is who is in charge of the University of Memphis whole ruling, correct?
Yes.
Well, they're also in charge. They were in charge of the North Carolina State ruling, which is the only ruling that has come back from the IARP to this point. In my personal opinion, North Carolina State's sanctions or allegations were way worse than anything the University of Memphis did. They paid a recruit, Dennis Smith Jr., $40,000 to maintain his recruitment at the University of Memphis, or not the University, at North Carolina State in the middle of his recruitment. That's something you can't do. Penny Hardaway paid $10,000 or $11,000 to a kid's mom who moved to Memphis. While Penny Hardaway was not the head coach at the University of Memphis, he was the head coach at East High School. I think that should be a completely different sought-after process. I think that should go from the TSSAA. I don't think that has anything to do with the NCAA. That being said, NC State, and I don't know this to be fact. I'm just saying I know what happened to NC State, and I know what could happen to Memphis. NC State did not receive a postseason ban. And that's the one thing Penny Hardaway needs to stay away from right now is a postseason ban and a show cause. We don't want a show cause. But here's a breakdown for you. NC State had 9 total level 1 and level 2 violations. 5 level 1, 4 level 2. Memphis has 4 level 1 and 3 level 2 violations. That's 2 apiece. It's 2 away from being anywhere where NC State was. The NC State was hit with a $5,000 fine. They had to forfeit the 15 games that Dennis Smith Jr. played in. They have a reduction of scholarships for 2 seasons. And they also have, I want to say it was recruiting limitations. The same people who ruled on NC State are ruling on Memphis. In my heart of hearts, and I know everybody thinks the NCAA is out to get Memphis, and I agree to an extent. In my heart of hearts, I think that we're going to get a similar thing. I don't think we get a postseason ban. I don't think Penny Hardaway gets a show cause. Also, the NCAA would be stupid to look at the numbers that Memphis put up in the NCAA tournament as far as viewers. I mean, 5.5 million people watched the Gonzaga game. That's I think it was the 10th most watched tournament game this season so far. That's little old Memphis doing that for you. I know Gonzaga's number 1 seed, but that's still a mid-major, what some people consider a mid-major team. I fully expect Memphis to get a similar, maybe lesser area of what NC State got to the University of Memphis. I don't expect Penny Hardaway to get a show cause. I do expect us to have to forfeit the 3 games that James Wiseman played in. I do expect us to get a reduction of scholarships. I do expect us to get some recruiting limitations. But I don't think it's going to be as bad. And this is me being hopeful, Wes. This isn't me speaking out of facts or anything like that. And I know a lot of people are going to be like,
Right.
well, Brandon Bumgarner said, don't go saying that. Brandon Bumgarner says a lot of bullshit that is not true. Because he hears one thing, he says it, and then it doesn't happen.
No.
So don't take all this with a grain of salt. But I do expect Memphis to be put in that same area that NC State was put in, and I think that Memphis is going to walk out with their heads held high. I don't think Memphis fans should be worried about all these people transferring and leaving the program right now. If you look at what happened last year, it was essentially the exact same thing. Penny
Yeah.
Hardaway told these kids, hey, go do what's best for you. Boogie Ellis left. DJ Jeffries left. Hell, 2 years ago, Tyler Harris left. Musa Cisse left last year.
Yeah.
Musa just won Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. DJ had
Jimmy
a
Ball.
decent year at
Yeah.
Mississippi State. Boogie Ellis had a good year at USC. Damian Ball had a great year at TCU. Good for
Yeah.
them. The good thing is, two of the guys that are transferring didn't play this year. So it's not like
True.
it's going to kill you that you're losing them. The
Very true.
problem is you're missing two guys. Two guys are going pro right now. One I do expect to be back. The other one I don't. I think Joshua Minot has a very good, big future ahead of him. But yeah, I think Penny's got. I think we're going to be okay. Just brave the storm. Keep your head up. Whatever happens, happens. We can't do anything to help it. Can't do anything to hurt it. Just
Well, one
do what you do, Tiger fans. Enjoy
most
yourselves.
definitely.
Enjoy yourselves and listen. No matter what happens with all of this, support this team. They need it now more than ever. And I don't want to be that type of person that's like, hey, I don't want to harp on it too much because I've done it my whole life. But you need to be here to support this team now more than ever.
Completely agree. And another team that in the city that needs supported is the Memphis Grizzlies. They're sitting at second. They have locked up the second seed in the Western Conference. They won the Southwest Division of the conference. They're sitting at 55-23. They got a win last night over the Phoenix Suns, 122-114, and they were basically playing the Memphis Hustle roster against Phoenix. Brandon, how far can this team get? I'm going to really feel this team can win the NBA championship.
Wes, we could talk about this for a whole hour and 12 minutes that we've already been on. We're not going to.
Yeah, let's
I'm
keep it to like 10.
I'm gonna limit it. This Memphis Grizzlies team is special. I read a stat to Wes before we got on air. Very interesting stat at that. The last three teams who had a winning record without their 25 point per game score in NBA history have all won a championship. The Raptors were missing Kawhi Leonard for 17 games or something like that. The Lakers were missing Kobe Bryant for 20-something games. The Warriors missed Kevin Durant for 20-something games, and the Grizzlies are 20-2 without Ja Morant. Now, that being said, yes, Grizzlies fans, I would rather Ja Morant be in my lineup than not be in my lineup. He's going to play in the playoffs. We all know this.
Yeah.
But last night was probably the most special win of the season. And I say that because the Suns, the quote number one team in the NBA, played the hardest they could all 48 minutes of that game last night. Like Wes said, the Grizzlies basically rolled their G League team out there, said go kick their ass, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I mean, basically.
Wes, I don't know if I've ever seen a basketball team more together than this Memphis Grizzlies team. Their average age, and we've talked about it on the show before, the average age of the Memphis Grizzlies is 24 years old. The oldest player on the roster is 28-year-old Steven Adams. This team is special, dude.
And we're just going to get younger when we draft more players.
To an extent. I mean, they're going to add guys, and the guys on the team are going to get older,
but they're young.
That's also a good thing because they're so young.
Yeah.
But in my heart of hearts, and I'm not saying this just to say this, Grizzlies fans, It could be this year, it could be next year, or it could be in 2 years. The Memphis Grizzlies are going to win an NBA Finals within the next 3 seasons.
I agree.
And it could absolutely be this season. But you know what, Wes? When I think about this youth, and I think about the coaching, and I think about the togetherness and the chemistry, the only thing and the only team that can pop in my mind is the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
And look at what the San Antonio Spurs did for years.
Yeah.
They beat the hell out of you, and they won championships.
And they did it.
Hell, they beat LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh twice in the finals.
And the thing with that San Antonio Spurs run was you knew what they were going to do. You knew how to stop it, but you couldn't stop it.
You couldn't stop it. And that's the thing about this Grizzlies team. They attack the paint, they out-rebound you, and they play better defense than you. And guess what? Good luck trying to go out there and beating them.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to sit here. I mean, yes, I made a tweet last night and said the Grizzlies might never lose a game again. Yeah. Hell, at this rate, they might not. But it's just been it's just been a special year for the Grizzlies, man.
Yeah.
And we're going to have more coverage on that coming up throughout the playoffs. Yes. Hell, we'll probably talk. We'll do a show next week. We'll do The Point. We'll talk about the Grizzlies. We'll go more into detail about the Tigers. We'll start tuning up for some Tiger spring football.
Speaking you got of Tigers, baseball season going on too. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the Memphis Tigers, they're having their first spring scrimmage in front of fans in Nashville, Tennessee today. Shout out to Ryan Silverfield and staff for doing that. I really like that. It opens up that recruiting area for the University of Memphis. Because you sure the hell know Vanderbilt ain't doing that.
And in 20 days, they'll be at Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium for Friday Night Lights.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I will be out there. I might even throw a 4-star tailgate for those of you that are interested to come by and holler at me, talk some Tiger sports or whatever you want to talk with me. But, this Grizzlies team, dude, and I've said it every time we come on, it's exciting times to be a part of Memphis, be a fan of Memphis, but also not only that, it's exciting times just to be a supporter of 4-Star Sports Media. Wes, I don't think you've been on since we've announced that we are now an official LLC, which is awesome. If you want to go a little bit into detail about that to close it out, you're more than welcome to. Just want to tell everybody, love you guys, appreciate y'all listening. Hour and 17 minutes was basically me just spewing a bunch of BS out of my mouth. But I appreciate you listening to me. Love you guys. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want. My name is right there, Brandon Bumgarner. Hit me up. Love you guys once again.
Yeah, we are now 4-Star Sports Media LLC. It was official on Tuesday, Wednesday this week. We thank you to all of our sponsors. BA Mask, Sidecar Cafe, Germantown Village Wine and Liquor, and also, am I missing one? I feel like I'm missing one. Maybe not. Thank you to all of our sponsors, all of our fans. You guys, we would not be here without you. Also, to our incredible website guy, Nigel. Shout out, Nigel. Mate, you've done an incredible job with the site, and it's only going to get better. Go to our website, 4star.live. Oi, mate. Go to 4star.live. Check out all of our content, podcast articles, sponsor links, and more. Also, guys, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're on there everywhere. Let's look up 4-Star Sports Media Network, and we are there. Once again, for Brandon Baumgartner, I am Wes Pruitt. It's Wrestlemania and Final Four week, guys. Have a good sports week. We're out.